Hello, friend, and welcome to Sex Addicted Christian. I'm your guide, Jimmy Trent, and we are here to crush the shame, cultivate community, confront the cause of your addiction, and to commit to change. Let me ask you a question. Have you tried to quit porn and you just can't quite find the way to do that? You don't have the answer. You keep going back to it again and again. Friend, I want to let you know something quick right off the bat today. That's not because you're weak. It's not because you don't want to. It's not because you don't love God enough. It's not because you haven't prayed enough or read your Bible enough. There are some core things that you must put into your addiction recovery in order for you to find true freedom. The reason it is not working for you is because you are focused potentially on the wrong things, or you are missing important pieces of your recovery journey. I want to pull the curtain back for you today, friends. If you only watch one video of mine, this is the one to watch. We are going to pull the whole curtain back today. And I know, friends, from my own story is where these pillars have been birthed. I have seen my own freedom, and I want to give you the full rundown today in how to pursue the freedom from your porn addiction. So, friends, let's talk this out. I'm going to pull the curtain back. I'm going to give you everything I teach. Everything that I teach on this channel is pointing you back to the four pillars. And you may have downloaded that. I would encourage you to go download the four pillars of a porn-free life. You can find the link below in the description at the website, sexaddictedchristian.com. You can grab it right there. It is a free guide for you to, at your own pace, in your own timing, walk through these four pillars and find your freedom. But this is the full path. This is the full path. I call it the 4C framework. And you may have seen it in my free guide, the four pillars of the porn-free life, but it goes like this. We said it at the beginning. We crush the shame. We cultivate community. We confront the real cause of your addiction. This is a key part, and we'll get into it later. And then we commit to change. And that is the four pillars. So most people, just listen to what I have to say here. Most people are trying to fix their porn or sex addiction by only focusing on that last step. And that's why nothing ever seems to work for them. But if you implement the four pillars that I'm going to run down with you today, if you will implement them, run this play, friends, run this play, you will live in freedom from your sex addiction. So let's just walk this through today. I want to walk this through. We're going to walk through each of these four pillars. We can't dive into every aspect of this in every nuance that comes like a lot more clear whenever you are working through this with others, with a coach. This is what I do with people all week long. I've been doing this for years now with men and women at times to walk them through this so that they can apply it in specific. And so if that's something you want to do, you can always join me for coaching. You can see that on the website as well. But I'm going to walk you through at a high level view. We're going to give you tons of value in this conversation. And so if you'll just run this play, you can run it by yourself. If you run this play, I am telling you, friend, you will start to find the freedom you've been looking for. So let's look at the first one. The first one is crush the shame. You're staying stuck. Listen to me. You stay stuck in your addiction because you're staying hidden in that. And what ends up happening, friend, is this. You feel shame as a result of your acting out, looking at porn, masturbation, whatever your sexual addiction or your sexual misconduct or your unwanted sexual behavior is, you feel shame in that, and it immediately leads you to a place of secrecy. And we talked a little bit about this last week. You can go back and watch last week's episode, Why Can't I Quit? But that cycle continues. You feel shame, you hide in secrecy, and then that just fuels the next round of the addiction. And so shame really isn't the result of your acting out. It actually is the fuel that continues to keep this addiction going. And so to truly escape shame, if you want to escape shame, if we want to really crush the shame of this sex addiction, you have to see yourself through God's eyes. You have to have an identity shift. And so when shame lifts, when identity shifts. And so think about this. When God originally created Adam and Eve, he created them, go back to chapter 2, the end of chapter 2 in Genesis. When God originally created Adam and Eve, he created them naked and unashamed. You ever thought about that? Naked and unashamed. They had no shame in their nakedness, right? And so sin unfortunately changed that. But God has changed it back by covering, right? So sin changed this shame. God changes it back for Adam with skins from an animal. If you remember that, Adam and Eve originally covered themselves up with fig leaves, and then they're trying to hide. They don't want anybody to see them. Don't look at me, God. Don't look at me, Eve. Don't look at me, Adam. They don't want to be seen because now they're ashamed after sin enters the world. They're ashamed of their own nakedness. God changes that for Adam. Look in chapter 3 of Genesis when he kills an animal and puts skins on Adam and Eve. This points us early on in Scripture, this points us to Jesus' sacrificial death that not just covers nakedness like the leaves did or like the animal skins, but it covers the shame of our souls. We cannot ever achieve freedom in this porn or sex addiction recovery. We will never find freedom, friend. You will never find it unless you crush this shame. So the doorway to freedom, you must enter this doorway. The doorway to freedom is crushing the shame. There is no other starting point in porn recovery. No other starting point. I don't let anyone tell you any different. It's not getting internet blockers. It's not getting accountabilities. It's not punishing yourself for doing wrong. None of those things are going to help you unless you walk through the first door, the necessary door. You cannot find freedom from this, friend, unless you crush the shame. Don't let anyone tell you differently. Shame, and then the rest of the program. Don't skip it. Crush it, and everything else flows downhill in your recovery. The second one, so we got crush the shame. The second one is cultivate community. What I want you to hear in this is that you cannot heal alone. You can't heal in isolation. You will never find healing if you don't come out of hiding, just as Adam does in chapter 3. When God calls him, hey, Adam, where are you at? I'm over here. You will never find true healing if you don't get into community. And so this is where real change requires honesty. And you're going to have to find a safe person. You're going to have to find a safe environment. I walk this through in the guide. So in the 4 Pillars guide, you can do that. You can go jump in there and check that out and walk through how to choose a safe person. But I'm going to tell you this. I will never forget. Let me just tell you a quick story. I will never forget my breakfast, my Cracker Barrel breakfast, where I first shared my entire story with a trusted brother. I had been struggling in sexual addiction for decades. For decades, I had been struggling. And I was in full-time ministry at this point. I was seeing God do all kinds of crazy, cool things. And I could not seem to find freedom from this sexual addiction. And so what I ended up doing was doing a fast. I did a fast for 21 days, and I was breaking the fast. This was, I think, 2010. It was the fall of 2010. I was breaking the fast at a restaurant dinner with some other people I was doing ministry with. And I was breaking the fast. I had done this fast, really hoping that God might deliver me. I never really came up with anything significant. I mean, the fast was fine, but nothing great came out of it. And I remember sitting at the dinner table, breaking the fast and reflecting on what God had done, or what, in my opinion, maybe not have done through that fast related to my sexual addiction. And I remember very vividly, I saw my friend across the table and I heard God, maybe audibly, I don't remember at this point. I heard God say, go tell that man everything. My stomach dropped. My hands got sweaty. My knees got weak, right? And all of a sudden, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to share this. This is the next step. This is the fruit of this fast. God had done all kinds of things in my heart by way of crushing the shame and the identity shift. But now he wanted me to take the next step. Now that I'm free from shame, now that I'm believing who I really am in Christ, I can risk sharing my story with someone else. And so James asks us to do this. Think about this. James, in the book of James, he asks us to confess our sins to one another, to pray for one another, and what? To be healed. There is power in bringing our story into the light with another brother or another sister who knows God, who loves God, who can be trusted with our story and cares and loves you. So the question kind of becomes here today, friend, because we're talking about crushing the shame first. And if we can deal with the shame, now we've got to take this next step. And this is a big one, and it's a scary one. But think of Jesus and the man at Bethesda. This man was a quadriplegic. This man couldn't walk. And he was by the healing pool in Bethesda. And the waters would get stirred in Bethesda. And the first one into that pool would be healed. And Jesus walks up on the scene and he sees this man who'd been unable to walk for decades, but had been camping out by this pool. And so Jesus asked the obvious question, friend, why aren't you getting in the water? And he makes all these excuses about how no one takes him down there and this, that, and the other. And he asks the man, do you want to get well? Do you want to get well? Jesus asked him. And he goes on to have this really interesting conversation. I encourage you to go back and read it. This very interesting conversation where eventually Jesus confronts the man directly. Enough excuses. If you want to get well, stand up and walk. And so that's a question for you today, friend. Answer this. Answer it down below in the comments, wherever. Send me a message on Instagram or email me. I want to know, friend, do you want to get well? Do you want to be healed of this sexual addiction? Because if you do, there's hope. There is hope. And so God's community is a gift for you, friend. We live in isolation. We think we're rejected. We go into great relationship with someone else. When we get into community, into God's community, we realize we're actually accepted. We live alone and we think we're lonely, but when we get into God's community, we're actually together. Whenever we are by ourselves and hiding and not bringing this into God's community, we feel confusion. But whenever we bring it into the light, we can gain clarity. So lean into this gift because it's not just enough to have the identity shift. That's huge. But we've got to get into community with others so that we can begin to dialogue, build the team of people around us, and that can really help us work through what we need to work through. So, in summary, so far, crush the shame. Again, want to see you guys really, really doing work and crush the shame. And then we can bring this into light with others as we cultivate the community. Number 3 is confront the cause. This, honestly, friends, is probably the driving factor of why I do what I do, why I'm on here talking to you right now. Because I think this particular pillar in the 4C framework, I think that this is where most of us never go. And the reason that most of us never experience freedom, because we never truly confront the real power source and cause of our addiction. So your sexual addiction, I'll say it like this, your behavior isn't the root, it's only the fruit. I've taught it extensively in this way. Porn is not your problem. It's not your problem, friend. That's not the problem. It's a problem. It's a big problem. It can get worse if you continue to walk down this pathway. But porn's not your real problem. And every one of the pillars in the 4C framework are essential. But this one, I believe, is the one that is tragically missed in most recovery programs. So let me give you a word picture. Just walk with me through here. Listen to this story. Have you ever been to an arcade? I'm sure you have, like Chuck E. Cheese or maybe the neighborhood arcade. I feel like they're not as popular anymore. We don't see them as much anymore with all the gaming that we have going on in the homes and on computers and on our little phones and everything else. But if you remember this one particular game, it wasn't like a digital game. Do you remember the game Whack-A-Mole? Whack-A-Mole, where you put your quarter in and these little like cylinder moles pop up all over the board. And you've got this like foam, like fabric hammer, and your job is to sit there and just they keep hitting the moles every time they come. You just keep, oh, no, 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 and see how many you can hit in 60 seconds or whatever it is. You can play that game for hours, swinging this padded hammer. And guess what? Those moles will keep popping up as long as you keep putting quarters in the machine. So, how is it that you could win the game? Like, let's think outside the box. How could you actually stop those moles from popping up? The best way, and really the only way to do it, is to go behind that machine where it's plugged into the wall and unplug the power. Kill the power source of that game. That's how you stop the moles from popping up. And so that's what this pillar is. Pillar 3, confronting the true cause of your addiction, is identifying the source of power that feeds your addiction. Confront that, friend. Confront that, and you will win this war. You will find your freedom. So let me just give you 4 categories. This is a deep work. Honestly, this work can take hours. It could take weeks. It could take months. Just depending on how quick you can identify, how easy it is for you to self-reflect, how willing you are to walk down this road. But let me just give you just 4 categories for consideration, and I'll share a little bit about like my own, what I believe is my own power source. And this particular part is straight out of Tim Keller's work from Counterfeit Gods, where he identifies 4 things that are operating at a deeper level that drive our behaviors. So the first one he talks about, and write these down. If you're writing things down, write these down. And I want you to give me a comment below on which one you think is like best identifies you, or what you feel like is most consistent with your experience. But the first power source for our porn addiction, the first power source of porn addiction could be power itself, right? So success, winning, influence. Think of this as like perfectionism, right? Like that you want to always try to be the absolute best. You want to have the power. You want to be in charge. Your greatest nightmare when power, success, winning, influence, your greatest nightmare, he says, is humiliation. So if you have a power idol or a power source, the power is your power source, then your greatest nightmare might be humiliation. And people around you might often feel used because you're always just trying to take everything you can to try to win for yourself. And maybe your problem emotion, if you have a problem emotion, maybe it's anger. So power, success, winning, influence, greatest nightmare, humiliation. People around you often feel used. And maybe the emotion that you can't seem to get control over is anger. The second one is approval. So approval, think of affirmation, love, relationships. Your greatest nightmare, if approval is your idol, then your greatest nightmare is probably rejection. Now, people around you, your friends, family, and things like that, may often feel smothered by you because you keep pushing into them, looking like, hey, tell me I'm great, tell me I'm great. And your problem emotion may be cowardice, just fear, being a coward, not wanting to stir the pot or rock the boat because you fear someone might reject you. The third thing that you can consider here is comfort. So this is like you want privacy, you don't want stress, you need freedom, you're kind of free floating in life. So comfort might be the thing that you seek after, and your greatest nightmare is stress or demands. And people around you often feel neglected because you're only trying to make sure you're comfortable, and so people around you maybe don't get your friendship or attention. And a problem emotion for you might be boredom. So power, approval, comfort, and the last one, a possibility. These are just 4 that I think are pretty common. Number 4 is control. This kind of maybe fits a little bit better with this perfectionism, but it's the self-discipline, the certainty, the standards, and control is maybe your power source. And your greatest nightmare, if it's control, your greatest nightmare would be uncertainty. Like what does tomorrow hold? I don't know what tomorrow holds. I need to know. And people around you may often feel condemned because of the way that you live out these high standards of trying to keep things to be the way you want them to be. And problem emotion for you would be worry. So, friend, I don't know what yours is, and it could be something a little different. I'd love to hear from you. Which of these is kind of best describes you? If there's another one, then please leave that comment below. But I'd love to know. Drop a comment below. Let me know what it is that you kind of where you find yourself. I know for me, I'll just tell you this. For me, it's always been my need for approval that led me into these sexual misconducts. And it's the way I've always said it for me. So approval is kind of like the category, but the way I've always said it or articulated it is I've believed for so long that I'm not enough. And my sexual addiction was fueled by that core belief or that core lie that I'm not enough. And so everything, I would say the majority of the time when I was living out my sexual addiction, I was living it out in such a way to try to combat that lie, to try to prove to myself that I am enough. And so, uh, friend, if you would replant your root, right? Get down beneath, confront the cause. It's not the sexual addiction is the fruit. In order to unlock your freedom, you've got to identify the root, and then you're going to have to replant that root somewhere new to get the new fruit. Okay? So, crush the shame, cultivate community, confront the cause, and then and only then can we get to this last step where many of us start, which is to commit to change. Okay. So now that we have done the other four pillars, committing to change can actually do something for you. So often we start with step four, we start with pillar four. What do I need to do? I need to read my Bible more, study more. I need to confess more. I need to get blockers on my phone. I need to, create all these boundaries. But we never do the deeper work. We never experience the identity shift. We never really let anybody into our story because we're scared to let them in. And then we never, because we're just alone in it and we're not doing any of the real work, we never confront the real cause. However, once you've done that, having a commitment to change and building a plan is a necessary part of breaking free from this addiction. And so once we have the identity shift, now we can build on this this pillar is about a number of things, okay? Pillar 4, commit to change, is about habits, it's about boundaries, it's about tools, the accountability tools, it's about having true structure. So it looks different for everyone based on their particular struggles. And that's why having coaching is extremely important and extremely helpful and a big part of the community. And that's where in my coaching, I'm going to help you create a customized plan that's like just for you. It's based on your story, your personality, your behaviors, your past addictive choices, the way all that is. We want to build a specific plan for you. But an easy framework for that is the 3 circles. And you've seen that if anybody has ever been to Sexaholics Anonymous, those 3 circles, right? The inner circle, the middle circle, and the outer circle. So if you take those 3 concentric circles and you fill those in, right? The middle is like off-limit behaviors. This is active addiction behaviors. The middle circle right outside of that are behaviors that are dangerous, right? So it isn't necessarily that you're like doing the addiction, but you are doing something that can lead you in that direction. So that's where you think about like, oh, I'm skipping church. I haven't been to church. I haven't talked to my friends in a while. Maybe it's drinking or some other habit that kind of unlocks the opportunity and leads you back down that path. So we want to identify those middle circle behaviors, and then the outer circle behaviors are the ones that like are green. Green means go. These are the building ones. This is the new lifestyle. These are the new disciplines. These are the things that now that we're stopping the bad things, we're starting the good things. It's putting off and putting on, as Ephesians talks about. So, and then I want to tell you this. This is just a little secret, a little additional. This is like a bonus, okay? The bonus here is, I want you to think about it this way. Whenever we are building our plan, there's this little thing happening. It's actually a big thing, but it's little known. And that's the fact that your brain has been a part of this the whole time. So one major factor in you staying stuck in porn addiction is the fact that you've trained your brain for years, maybe even decades, to behave in a certain way. And so we aren't going to go into much detail on brain stuff today. I'll do some other videos soon on that. But understanding the brain science is a major category for finding freedom, because you've built these pathways of how you're going to live your life based on your addiction and doing the addiction more and more and more and more, like just paves these pathways into major highways in the brain science. And so now we find ourselves just doing the thing that we do without even really thinking about it. And so it's hard to stop. And so whenever we build these new disciplines, we are actually also building new pathways in the brain. And that's the good news, friend, is that your brain can be retrained. You can retrain the brain. But in order to do that, you're going to have a strict plan in place so that you can avoid going down those pathways again, so that those pathways can essentially, by your brain, be forgotten and start using the new pathways. And that is going to lead you to a greater sense of freedom. So let's bring it back together. Crush the shame, cultivate community, confront the real cause of your addiction, and then commit to change. If you skip any of these first steps and just jump into the last step, you're going to keep ending up in the same place. That cycle will never, ever end. And so I want to give you one personal application. Start today by being honest with someone. Even if you don't tell them the whole story, identify one person that you can just say, hey, I've got some things going on and I need to get it off my chest. I don't know if I'm ready to talk about it yet, but I need you to know there's some things I need to communicate. Or move further into that, but identify that one person and seek them out. Share something with them. Begin to step out. And then lastly, friend, if you want to go deeper on this, as I said before, crushing the shame of your sex addiction is the entry point. And for that reason, I created the Crush the Shame Challenge, and that will be happening here in just a few weeks. And so I want to invite you to that. You can find all the details below, but if you want to join me for a live 3-day virtual event, I want to see you there. I've got everything prepared for you. It's going to be an amazing teaching time, and we are going to work through all these aspects of shame, how God sees us, how we actually move forward, how to begin stepping out into the light out of our shame. Let's crush the shame together. Let's get that identity shift as the shame lifts of our sexual addiction, and let's go do something powerful. Let's go find the freedom that we've been longing for. I want to see you there. So please click the link below. Leave some comments below. I want to interact with you guys. Find me on Instagram. Send me some DMs. Shoot me emails. I'm here for you guys. I love you a ton. I cannot wait to see you guys on another episode real soon. Until then, friends, God bless. We'll see you soon.